Although I like to think that I've played the majority of what gaming has to offer on most consoles, there are some games that for some reason or another I never got a chance to play. Maybe I just didn't have the time for it, maybe I didn't have the right system at the time, maybe I was short on cash, or simply it just passed me by. There are a lot of games that I haven't played which a lot of people think are the best games ever made, and one of those games which I'm going to be playing today is Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation. Now, I've heard from a lot of people that this is the greatest RPG ever made, best PlayStation game ever made, best Final Fantasy game ever played, and I've only ever played Final Fantasy IX and some of the spin-offs like Tactics, etc. So I'm really intrigued to see what this game is like, but does my scrutiny as a modern gamer detract from what a lot of people will think are some of the finer points of the gameplay? Okay, so Final Fantasy VII is a very prestigious title in gaming. Ask a lot of people about what they think the best RPG ever is, and this is usually the prime candidate. Some people are all like, "Oh mate, FFVII, best game ever. Best game in the world." Back in the day, this was probably the most expensive game to ever produce, and the first Final Fantasy outing for PlayStation without the constraints of previous titles imposed by Nintendo and its cartridges. Right, okay, let's see how this starts. Oh, I know all about you, love. I've seen tragic death list videos on YouTube. We get a nice view of some sort of cyberpunk city at night, and then we zoom into a train arriving at its destination. Then scrawny John Rambo pops out and beats up a train conductor with one of his mates. Then Mr. T jumps out with some sort of anime stereotype and beckons us to follow him.
Excuse me, mate, what are the buttons?
I really like how this intro gets straight to the point with the gameplay. 2 minutes in and we already have a location, some characters, and instantly afterward our first battle. So it turns out there's this big evil corporation called Shinra that's hurting the planet by extracting its, magic juice? Called Mako, which allows for industrial prosperity and the people to use magic in its condensed form, materia. B.A. Baracus here is called Barret, and he's the leader of Avalanche, and these lads, and a lady, have recruited our protagonist Cloud to help them blow up a reactor to help slow down the degradation of the planet. The game's combat is pretty neat, and something that I've played before in similar games like Final Fantasy IX and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. It's kinda turn-based but also real-time simultaneously, which doesn't allow you much time to plan out your tactics but keeps the combat gratifying and fast-paced. Next, Cloud and Barret fuse together and dash to the furnace to place a bomb. We fight our very first boss fight, which is pretty simple to kill, and then we need to run all the way back before the neon pink numbers of doom reach 0. Overall, this is a great way to start the game, and even when escaping you get to choose whether or not you avoid enemies or fight your way through regardless of the numbers, which is a nice touch for such an old game to include such choice. Next, we're blowing up another reactor, this time with our friend Tifa and her delightful, hair, and fall through a collapsed bridge and meet Aeris. We find out Shinra's after her, and whilst escaping, try to drop barrels on the pursuing enemies' heads. Bollocks. To be honest, I didn't really like the first disc very much because of the pacing. I mean, you spend a ton of your time in Midgar, and I get that there's a lot of locations within Midgar and a lot of people to talk to and environments to explore, but I think that even though the developers were trying to emphasize this is a place you really want to escape because it's so oppressive and nasty, I did feel like the other games' locations were a bit small or spread out and really didn't match up to the same content of Midgar, and it's just a shame that Midgar itself is, you know, a bland, bleak, boring location that you don't really want to explore. Kind of like Blackpool. Then less than 2 hours into the game we get into a rather odd mission where you have to cross-dress as a woman to infiltrate a dirty crime boss's slum mansion in order to regroup with Avalanche. Hands off, lads, you don't know what I'm packing. And then the gang get the bright idea to infiltrate Shinra HQ. Everyone gets captured, the president is killed, and we find out the culprit is a man named Sephiroth. Show off. Now I get a lot of people really like Sephiroth, but I think he's kind of overrated. I mean, things start off pretty well. I mean, there's blood all over the place. Later on we get to play with Sephiroth in our party as part of a flashback to see the extent of his strength, and it does a great job of showing us just how powerful he is compared to Cloud. In said flashback, we see Cloud's past as a member of the Super Elite Force Soldier, travelling to his hometown of Nibelheim, with Sephiroth, making their way to a Mako reactor. However, Sephiroth goes crazy after finding he's the son of this alien thing called Jenova. Oh gross, it's got an eyeball boobie. Ugh. And proceeds the story being all dour and emo-like, as he kills lots of people and does evil stuff. Now here is where things get complicated. Because in actual fact, during the present time of the game, Sephiroth is actually part of the life stream, some sort of force imbued by the planet, and is in a deep state of hibernation or summon. For some reason he doesn't have legs now and he looks like this. Okay. However, he then controls the remains of his mother, Jenova, to create an illusion of himself to carry out his evil deeds during Cloud's adventure. And on the subject of Cloud, he actually never became a member of Soldier, and in fact replaced his memories of his exploits from his mentor Zack, who was on the mission with Sephiroth, and Cloud actually throws Sephiroth into the live stream. The thing is, Cloud is actually a clone of Sephiroth, maybe? And all members of Soldier are injected with Jenova cells to get stronger, which allows Sephiroth to control Cloud to an extent. And this all leads to Sephiroth wanting black materia from an ancient temple that only Aeris can get to because she is descended from an ancient species, with which he can call down a meteor to kill everyone on the planet, so he'll become a god, but making the planet imbue him with power to combat the meteor. But Aeris tries to summon the spell Holy to stop the meteor from crashing, and Sephiroth jump attacks her, but she's like a ghost or something, so it's okay. Well, that isn't convoluted at all. That said, there are some awesome story bits to this game, and even some really memorable characters like a dog, a robot cat, blonde nicotine fiend, racial stereotype, breasts. We also get to use some cool vehicles to maneuver the terrain of the map as we progress in our quest, and the boss fights for the most part are brilliant. Well, until you get the Knights of the Round Summon materia, and then it's a piece of piss. But to get this OP item, you need to play the minigames. Lots and lots of mini-games, such as the Chocobo breeding, Chocobo racing, RTS Lite, piano lessons, basketball, soldier parades, Arctic navigation, snowboarding, train driving, space subbing, submarine battles, dolphin jumping, post-traumatic stress disorder therapy, and more. There are even these super bosses called weapons to fight at the end, which have ridiculous HP bars and a lot of bullshit moves to combat. However, beating them gets you some really cool materia and a gold chocobo. Oh mate, it's okay, I've already got one. I spent 5 hours of my life caging birds and pinfalls, feeding them nuts and grass to get one of the bastards! And then with every best weapon acquired, every boss defeated, all my materia maxed out and every ultimate weapon destroyed, the final hurdle in our way is the quote-unquote coolest villain in video games ever, Sephiroth. So apparently Sephiroth turns into, whatever the hell this is, and the game tells us, think about the sequence of the 5 targets, and beat them. Yeah, whatever mate, let me just, that one. Gotta look pretty. Hang on, was this supposed to be the final boss? Oh no, wait, there it is. Well, I guess this will be a lot tougher. I mean, usually that's the case. Nope, I was wrong. However, Cloud senses Sephiroth is still somehow alive. Bloody hell, at this rate he's nearly giving Liquid Snake a run for his money. Then we face Sephiroth 1v1 as Cloud. The only option we get to pick is Omnislash, and after the little segment plays out, that's the end of L'Oreal McSulkypants. Bye. It looks like our intrepid heroes are about to die due to a cave-in until the high wind nosedives into the crater and everyone barely escapes the blast of holy energy. Then we see Marlene, Barrett's adopted daughter, open a window and show off her neck detachment party trick. Meteor nearly lands on Midgar in a scene which I think I've seen somewhere before, and you guys give out copyright claims. Then as the holy spell fails to push back the meteor, the life stream seeps from the planet and stops the meteor. We see a big flash, everyone blinks, and the game ends with Aeris's face. Now go watch the movie. So there we have it, Final Fantasy VII complete. This game took me about 80 hours, give or take, doing pretty much everything there was to offer, and I gotta say, it's not my favourite game, it's not my favourite RPG, and it's not my favourite Final Fantasy game, but it's definitely one of the best RPGs I've ever played. I think in a lot of ways this game was a victim of its time with some of the decisions made. I mean, it was the first 3D Final Fantasy game, so they had some things they wanted to show off, like the minigames in particular, but I do wonder how much of the actual RPG elements were squandered in favour of those bits, and I think it really detracts from the game overall. But I mean, when you consider that there's a remake on the way, this game is available on not only disc form but also the PS3 store, and you can play it on your Vita. In fact, I was playing on my Vita, which I only got recently. There's the spin-off games like Dirge of Cerberus and Crisis Core, and there's even the film Advent Children. This is a huge franchise, and I can see why even today people wanted Cloud and Smash Brothers, because Final Fantasy VII is still relevant to the modern day, and I'm very intrigued to see what they do with the remake, changing the combat and polishing up some of the cutscenes and of course the gameplay mechanics as a whole. But either way, really enjoyed Final Fantasy VII, thanks so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys later. Where the fuck is that coming from? What's going on over here? What's doing that? Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I mean, this video took a lot of time to make just because there was about 80 hours to get into the gameplay. Then the script, I had to really cut down what I was talking about because there's so much I could have talked about this game, and I wanted to keep it, you know, succinct and not just like a half an hour or 20-minute video. So I had a lot of cutting down and re-scripting it. And also there was the anaphylactic shock business, which also didn't help. But either way, I'm going to put a couple of videos up. But the main thing I want to tell you about is we're going to be going back to another Gauntlet straight after this, and then the gems, so Gauntlet Gem, Gauntlet Gem. They're about 6 for 6 now, and I've got more projects in the works at the moment. Again, the delays have made that a bit of a pain, but next month I hope to come back stronger and get more comedy sketches and like a couple of new shows out. But the main thing is, yeah, this should only be the exception to the reason there's been delays, and hopefully there won't be a delay from the 2-week schedule. But anyway, here's a couple of bloopers. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. I mean, you spend so much time in Midgar, you don't really get to experience any of the other parts. There wasn't much that distinguished them apart from their special abilities and weapons, and there were only a few bits were off. Shit. Right, try again. Nom 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 nom. Yum.